In count 1, first accused person, you rise up. Ferdinand Waititu, you rise up. Convicted of conflict of interest, contrary to provision section 42(3), as read with section 48 of ASECA. The benefit acquired as a result of the offending acts being the sum of 25,624,500. Your sentence will be as follows. Under provision of section 48(1) of ASECA, a fine of 1 million in default, 2 years imprisonment. Still on count number 1, under the provisions of section 48(1)(b), as read with the section 48 2A, not B, 2A, I'm very specific, of ASECA, you pay a mandatory fine of 51,249,000, equal to 2 times the benefits, and in default, then you serve 7 years imprisonment. I'll also proceed to sentence you for the offense in count number 2, where you are also accused together with your company, Waititu Estate Developers, convicted of dealing with suspect property, contrary to provision of section 47(1), as read with section 47(2)(a) and 48 of ASECA. Accused person on your behalf and on behalf of the company, I'll just issue one sentence. A fine of 500,000 in default, 12 months imprisonment. That's for count number 2. Count number 3, accused person, together with the 12th accused person, your company, Waititu, convicted of dealing with suspect property, contrary to provision 47(1), as read with 47(2)(a) and 48 of ASECA, on your behalf and on behalf of the company, I'll only issue one sentence, a fine of 500,000 in default, 12 months imprisonment. Count 4 against Ferdinand Waititu, Susan Wangari Ndungu, and Benvenue Delta Hotel, 13th accused person, convicted of dealing with suspect property. That's the man that was going to Benvenue. Contract provision section 47(1), as read 47(2)(a) and 48 of ASECA. I've observed that 13th accused person is just a business name owned by first and second accused persons. This will be the sentence for the accused persons. For that offense, for that particular count, first accused person, a fine of 500 shillings in default. You serve 12 years. You serve 12 months imprisonment. For the second accused person, Susan Wangari Ndungu, I'll sentence you to a fine of 500 in default, 1 year imprisonment. And I think that's the only sentence that you will carry. So you can sit down. You can sit down, Governor. You have finished with your sentences. I don't think you are affected by the rest. Okay. Yes? 500,000. And that's the only sentence for Susan. Yes. That's the only sentence that she'll carry. Now, because there are no other counts that affect her, and I've not sentenced the partnership separately. And I think that will also give you some bit of reprieve. You organize yourself. Now, count 5 against Engineer Luka Wainyamwangi, convicted of abuse of office, conduct provision section 46 as directed 48 of Anti-Corruption Economic Crimes Act number 3 of 2003 for improperly awarding the tender. The value of the tender is 588,198,328.20. I've looked at the circumstances under which the offense was committed and the role that you played. And I've tried to moderate the sentence as much as I can, JM, because you can see the figure. If we blindly go to the benefits, the figure is quite colossal. But all said and done. Under provision section 48.1, the first limb of ASECA, you shall pay a fine of 1 million in default 2 years imprisonment. Under section 48.1, B, as read with section 48.2, A of ASECA, the second limb. You shall pay a mandatory fine in the sum of 20 million. In default, you serve 5 years imprisonment. So I repeat, for the first limb, you pay 1 million. In default, 2 years imprisonment. Under the mandatory fine, I've told you the contract sum, and I think this is a warning that I'm giving to the professionals who are dealing with the professional duties. 20 million. In default, you serve 5 years imprisonment. And I think that's the only sentence you have, so in total you are paying 21 million. You can sit down, engineer. Charles Chege Mbudia, Beth Wangeshi Mboro. And Testimony Enterprises Limited. You are convicted of engaging in fraudulent practice in the procurement, conduct provision section 66.1 as read with section 177 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. Your sentence will run as follows. For Charles Chege, the main director and the majority shareholder of Testimony Enterprises Limited, your sentence is a fine of 500,000 in default, 12 months imprisonment. Beth, your sentence is reduced to a fine of 200,000 in default, you serve 12 months imprisonment. Count 8 against Chege, Beth, and Testimony Enterprises Limited. Convicted of engaging in a fraudulent practice in procurement, conduct provision section 66.1 as read with section 177 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Those are the ones that deal with the forgeries of the documents. For Mr. Chege, being the main director and majority shareholder of Testimony, you pay a sum of 500,000 in default, 12 months imprisonment. I'm not sentencing the company. Debts, your sentence will be able the company to pay a fine of 200,000 in default, 12 months imprisonment. Again, I've factored in your roles. Count number 9 against Chege, Beth, and Testimony. And again, Mr. Council Swaka, I've really weighed on it and looked at the law as well as what is at stake. And probably the arguments that I think it's Council Njenga who brought in about probably some road here and there could have been constructed. But I think we'd rather not do that which we are not qualified to do. But I've tried my best, and this is the sentence. For the fourth accused person, Mr. Charles Chegembudia, you are the main director and shareholder of Testimony Enterprises Limited. And if anything, I think you are one person who bore the responsibility. You would have made things better if you had the qualifications. And the unfortunate thing, you are the one who brought yourself in these things. So this is the sentence for the first limb under 41 of ASECA. A fine of 1 million in default, 2 years imprisonment. Under section 48, 1B, as read with 48, 2A. I'm not proceeding under 48, 2B, which is even more punitive. Because of that aspect, probably you might have used the resource to do that. I'll sentence you to pay the mandatory fine of 294,548,110. That sum is well calculated and equal to 2 times the benefit that you derive from that county. And I think that the last sentence on you, you can sit down for Beth. Beth, I really weighed on your issue. And I'll now tell you, at times you'd rather walk away, isn't it? Check it. Than do things. Don't be in companies, you don't know what is happening. So I've weighed your issue. Matters, Chege took the responsibility, and I also see him as a gentleman on that. I'll only sentence you under 48.1 of ASECA. You pay a fine of 1 million in default, 12 months imprisonment, and that also gives a reprieve to the family to see your way forward. Now, Beth, you can sit down just a moment. Yes. So we can have the appearances for the states. Mr. Monde, you have joined?
Yes. On behalf of the states, I am here together with Ms. Faith Muila and Delroy Masal.
Liza kwa hiyo ndio ata
maybe confirm in terms of who paid the